not ours. This is my money.
We love getting outdoors together and talking through things and laughing, and it could be anything.
Almost all couples have both spouses that self-report and say that they would like to have more sex than they're having.
Welcome to the Grace Marriage Podcast. I'm Brad Rhodes.
And I'm Marilyn Rhodes. We're here to help you build a marriage that's stronger, more connected, and full of grace.
I'm Rick Dayton, joining Brad and Marilyn as we bring you weekly conversations designed to inspire and equip you to live intentionally in your marriage.
We'll share practical tips, powerful stories, and strategies to help you and your spouse grow closer and thrive together.
So whether you're just starting out or have been married for years, there's always room to grow. Let's do this together. This is the Grace Marriage Podcast.
We're back on the Grace Marriage Podcast with Dave and Ashley Willis, two of my favorite people in marriage ministry. And we talked about in the last episode, talking about being funny, spending money, and sex. So we'll start with being funny. I know y'all have talked about the kind of role of humor in marriage. How would you speak to the role of humor? One, who's the funnier one? Like, who's the one that brings more humor to the marriage?
Oh my goodness. Well, that is, an easy answer. Well, that is Dave.
That's one of the very few things that I feel like I'm better at than her. She carries the weight in a lot of areas, and she's gotten like really funny over the years.
You've made me funnier. I told him I'm funnier because of him. Like, he wanted to be on Saturday Night Live. Like, as a little boy, he wanted to be on Saturday Night Live when he grew up.
I'm glad God led me in a different direction.
But I told him, I said, listen, now you get to be funny, but like with a purpose. So it's great. It's more than just being funny. It's like to encourage marriages, and also as a pastor to encourage congregations. And so, yes, he keeps me laughing, like in all kinds of ways.
Funny, not sweet. Then I'm like, that means I need to grow in being kinder. But she said that to me a lot. But early in our marriage, she would literally be laughing with tears in her eyes at the same time. So Is there some type of governor or careful that you need to put on your humor, Dave?
Yeah.
I think sometimes.
I think everything in life can have a shadow side, like you said, Brad. Yeah. So I think that we've got to, any area of giftedness, any area of preference even can have its own shadow side. And so when it crosses over a line and it's like, it's getting out of bounds, or it's getting mean spirited, certainly There's no place for that. Or if it's a masking, talking about really important issues, if you just immediately turn to humor as a way to avoid really meaningful conversations, or in place of being truly vulnerable, then that's that's not good. Yeah, but I think most marriages could do with more kind-hearted humor, not like sarcastic picking on each other humor that brings fun to both of you. And there's something intimate about laughing together.
Yeah, I totally agree. Life, the longer you go, the harder it seems to be, and the more stuff you see, and just doing fun things together, laughing. It's almost the medicine you need to make it through life. It's like, like they said, the opposite of play is depression. So it's like, it's so important for couples to play together, to enjoy things together. And that's the first thing that seems to get squeezed out of a marriage, because your conscience will let it. So I guess we'll move from humor to play. Just like, what fun things do you guys do together, and how does a couple like keep marriage somewhat fun? Because if all marriage is taking care of kids, cleaning the house, paying the bills, and trying to save up for retirement, that's
I know.
I know. I'm tired just thinking about it.
I know. I know there's a reality.
I
of
get
life,
itchy.
I know, if he starts itching, I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah, what's stressing you?
But no, we really love to laugh together. These days, it could be as simple as just a funny meme or something. We really love, like, if we see something online, we send each other a funny meme. But like, we love getting outdoors together and talking through things and laughing and just, I don't know. It could be anything. We like planning like a fun getaway together, and even going to see comedy shows. Like we've seen like Seinfeld several times, and we did that even early in our marriage. I can't think of that Christian comedian we love. We've seen him multiple times too.
Yeah, but
there's some great.
We put ourselves in positions where we know we're going to laugh.
Yeah,
intentionally, and then do things just because we enjoy doing them. Whether it's getting outside and hiking, we love being outdoors, and trying to do as much together as we can, instead of like his hobbies, her hobbies. Not that you can't have your own hobbies, but as much as we can, we've tried to lean into to finding things we can do together. Because I think sometimes even hobbies, which can be a good thing, can also be an escape from your marriage.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
I mean, like there's nothing wrong with golf. I mean, we live in Augusta, Georgia, the golf capital of the world, really because of the Masters. But, you know, I know some guys that are so into golf. And I think some of it is masking the fact that they don't want to be at home with their wife. And, you know, she's got her hobbies where she's kind of escaping as well. And so I think we got to find ways to have fun together as much as we can. And we've done that from the start. And I'm so thankful we have.
And for example, I like to golf. Marilyn doesn't. She just will bring a book and ride with me, you know. So,
well, see,
I
that's
love it.
so,
Yeah.
so we,
awesome.
when we take turns picking dates and say, do whatever you want, I just go along with her. So she might make me sit by a pool for 3 hours, and then I may make her just go to a sports bar and watch a game while I eat onion rings. And you can't complain at me when I'm watching the TV, not looking at you. So, you know, but we just take turns. We take turns choosing them, and then just the other person just go along because I like watching Marilyn have fun, even if it's not what I think's fun. You know, I've actually like hoped before a play started that the Lord would allow me to fall asleep during it.
Oh my goodness, that's so funny.
So let's move to money. We talked about being funny. Now let's move into money. Do you find money being a consistent source of conflict in marriage, just as a therapist and in what you guys do?
Absolutely. I think that we all have feelings around money. It's really a neutral subject matter. And that's if you have a lot or if you have a little or somewhere in between. And actually, I mean, in the beginning of our marriage, it caused a lot of friction for us, mainly because we were so broke.
And in debt, and we were financially illiterate. And
we really both were and really we both tend to be more spenders than savers, and we've had to learn. And but so I get it. I get that it brings on a lot of feelings. And I think too, it can be something where there's a power play happening, where there's very much like people holding it over their spouse's head or being controlling with it, or just this his and hers mentality. We see that probably most often, wouldn't you say, honey?
Yeah. People get really possessive. It's not ours. It's mine. This is my money. And anytime in marriage you're saying my anything really with a hoarding mentality, then we're missing out really on what the heart of marriage is. Because first off, as Christians, we believe it all belongs to God. Everything we have, our lives, our money, it's all His. We're temporary stewards of it. Excuse me. But then in marriage, our money, our debt, whatever it is, it's ours collectively. I mean, it has to be by God's design. And if we're living in some dynamic where, and we know people that do this, and it's exhausting. You know, it's his account, her account. They're paying separate bills. They're constantly owing each other money. And I'm just like, guys, what are you doing? You know, it's there's no way to live.
Yeah, it's how do you counsel people? Because it seems like you guys are both spenders, which has its problems. But what about when it's like I'm more of a saver. Marilyn's more of a spender. Marilyn's just don't worry about it. Everything's okay. God's under control. Got it under control. Relax. I'm like, no, you know, it doesn't work that way. So how do spenders and savers not fight all the time about expenses?
Yeah. Well, I heard a talk given about how everybody has, just like you have your own love language, that every person in marriage has their own money language, you know, where it's like, and the way it was explained, and I can't even remember the resource now, so it's probably pointless me bringing this up, but it helped me to see like, oh, wait a second, all of us have a certain predisposition based on our upbringing, based on our own mentalities, our own personalities, where we find comfort in saving, we find comfort in spending, we find comfort in giving or spending on certain things. I mean, it was very nuanced. And just to understand that, like, okay, instead of me trying to change my spouse or my spouse trying to change me, acknowledge, well, God made us who we are, but all of us, without changing who we are at the core, have to be willing to bring discipline to whatever predispositions we have, and bring our own leanings in line with God's principles for money, which are, we should do everything we can to stay out of debt, because debt's a form of slavery, and God wants us to live in freedom, to be generous with our money, you know, to tithe, to help those in need, and to plan for our future. And those are biblical concepts. But at the same time, to enjoy, I think that enjoying life.
Not live miserly.
Yeah, not living miserly. I mean, the word miserable has the root word miser for a reason. Like when we live as misers, we end up miserable. Now, at the same time, if we're just spending everything with no thought for tomorrow, that's really reckless, and that's going to cause huge amounts of unnecessary stress. And so when two spouses are wired up differently as it relates to their money personality. And most of the time, that's the dynamic. They're two spouses with two different personalities there. You've got to lean in together and work it out. And I think a third party speaking into it can help, whether it's
Yes.
meeting together with a financial advisor, kind of an impartial professional who can help both of you see the big picture in a new way, or going through a financial study together, whether it's, a Dave Ramsey course or, there are a lot of good ones out there where you're forced to talk about these things in a productive way. And it sort of removes both of your preferences from the equation. And it's like, here are the facts, here are the dollars, here are the cents, here are the goals. Like,
right.
What can both of us do to make sure that everybody here is happy?
Mm-hmm.
It's so good. And considering the interest of others above your own, like I watch Marilyn all the time, try not to spend money all the time. Oh, I'm so sorry that was $60. And Marilyn sees me now, I'm trying to spend it. And it works now because I'm considering her, she's considering me. When she was considering her and I was considering me, it didn't work. So now it's really sweet. She's like, hey, I did 3 full meals with all our kids while we were out of town, and for under $120. And she told me how she did it, but she would never do that. I know if it wasn't me, and I take it as an act of love. And then Marilyn sees me, I gave her a gift card for Mother's Day to a place that I would never want her to walk in. And she knows. So I think what you said, Dave, so true. And love is considering somebody above yourself. So, that's excellent. Excellent. Would you add anything on the money side, Ashley, in your practice as a therapist?
Well, I would say don't see your differences as just difficulties. See them as a strength, because I will tell you, us being more alike in the spending area than different really created more struggles, because we really did have to go and learn how to do this. And because we got ourselves in a mess in the beginning of our marriage and had to climb ourselves out of debt. And thank God, we were able to get out of that. I think that having one be a spender and one be a saver is actually a good thing. Learn from each other.
That's good.
Don't see it as the bane of your existence. It's like, no, this is good that we have these differences. And that's just not just with money. I think even with other things, learn from each other and grow, and know that your differences can also be your strength.
That's excellent. Yeah, it's so true. We're so much better together than we are separate. I enjoy life more. I spend more. I do more fun things because of Marilyn. Marilyn has definitely dialed it back on the expense because of me. So it's been good. It's been good for both of us. Well, let's shift over to our last topic for this podcast, and that's sex. I know in your book it talks about how people come together less frequently in sex. I think one article said maybe one time a week, maybe, and sometimes less. Why do you think married couples oftentimes don't have sex very often?
There's a lot of research, a lot of different thoughts and opinions out there, and we share some of that in the book. You can get this free book that Brad's referring to at daveandashley.com. Right on our homepage, you can download it for free. I think it's a variety of things. That it's the busyness of our schedules. I think that's a big part of it. We've just gotten so busy that by the time we're at the end of the day and there's finally no distractions, one or both spouses is just so tired that it just doesn't seem practical. And then you get out of the habit and the rhythm of doing it often, and we settle into some rhythm that's not as desirable. But one interesting thing that we found in the research from a book by some Christian friends of ours, Shanti Feldhahn and Dr. Michael Seitzma, who's a Christian sex therapist, one of the few on earth who's a Christian focusing on that particular area, that almost all couples have both spouses that self-report and say that they would like to have more sex than they're having. Even the spouse that is the lower drive spouse in the marriage is likely to say, yeah, I would like to have it more than we're having. And so it's not necessarily a matter of lack of desire, even though that can be part of it. And there are reasons for that, hormonal changes, life stresses, all kinds of things. But I think it's these bigger issues with feeling disconnected from each other outside the bedroom, being exhausted, being too busy. And so when you remove all that distraction and really prioritize it, I think both spouses can benefit.
Would you add anything to that, Ashley?
I think too, I think that there's a huge misunderstanding of really what intimacy is. I know a lot of times in the church, we'll use the word intimacy and we're talking about sex, but intimacy is more than just sex, right? It's physical, yes, but it's also that emotional intimacy that we share through the conversations of really being vulnerable and building that trust that we have and the honesty that we share with each other. And then also spiritually, like spiritual intimacy is really important too, where we talk about God and what he's doing in our lives. And we pray together and we learn, about the things of God together. We study the Bible together. There's so much that goes into intimacy. And I think a lot of times couples underestimate that emotional and spiritual intimacy side of things, and then just come together in the bedroom and just hope it works and kind of disconnect emotionally from each other and don't really experience the fullness of sex and how God wants us to experience it. And so then they don't want it as much because they're just kind of going through the motions. So we always like to encourage couples, like, don't forget that those conversations, all the things happening leading up to the bedroom, are just as important as what's happening in there. And instead of it just like looking at it like, oh, it's just the physical stuff that we do in the bedroom. It's like, if you feel like there's a disconnect there, I would ask you, when was the last time you guys had a heart-to-heart conversation where you really shared what's going on in your mind and heart? And a lot of times couples who are really dissatisfied with their sex life, they'll admit too that, yeah, they've just been taking the kids everywhere and paying the bills and going to work and just completely missing the emotional connection and spiritual connection with each other. So I would tell couples, kind of in a therapeutic setting, really focus in on that and then build from that, because what you're going to find is that's going to even enhance the physical experience as well.
Yeah, I guess what you're saying is a good sex life is almost the byproduct of a good marriage.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're really, it's like when you have a really good marriage and Marilyn are doing well, she wants to bless me. She wants to bring me pleasure. She wants to bring me joy. It's not a chore. And then it's vice versa. If people are disconnected, it's like, it's going to be hard to have really good sex with somebody you don't even like.
Absolutely.
It's
true.
Well, we're just going to touch on that briefly. I really want you to go on their website and get that. It's 9 days to great sex. Is that what it's called?
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, 9 days. That's pretty quick, man.
Hey,
You give years of troubles, and the Willises give you 9 days, man, and y'all are going to be having a blast. So, but I really encourage you to get that resource. Thank you guys so much for being on the podcast. I know you mentioned it in our last episode, but if you could just mention again a little bit about what you guys have coming up and a little bit about the resources that you provide for our listeners to take advantage of.
Absolutely. So we'd love for you to join us in person. We have some events coming up. If you go to daveandashley.com/events, it'll all be there, but kind of some big ones that we have coming up are our Marriage Breakthrough Experience in Augusta, Georgia on September 19th and 20th. This is a smaller event on purpose. It's limited to 20 couples. And over those couple days, we really get to know each other. We talk all things marriage, lots of fun, lots of content and growth. And so we'd love for you to be a part of it. Also, we have a cruise coming up next year, April 6th through 10th on Wonder of the Seas with Royal Caribbean. We'd love for y'all to be a part of that. Again, it's limited, so go ahead and get in there early if you want to come with us. And then we have all kinds of other events in between there. And we have a podcast you can listen to called Marriage on the Line. Also, our Naked Marriage podcast from years ago has a huge log of episodes. And just check out that free ebook too at daveandashley.com. And we would love to just stay connected with you on Instagram too at Dave and Ashley Willis.
Yeah, and whenever you're listening to this podcast, whether you're going back and listening to it ever, just go on their website and see what they have coming up. So if if this is, when you listen to, if these things have already passed and you're looking at it, they'll have more stuff coming. So Dave and Ashley, thank you so much. The reason we do this podcast is to encourage people to invest in their marriage, to encourage people not to let life take them over, to schedule their life around their marriage, not their marriage around their life. So if you are in Grace Marriage, show up. Don't miss your sessions. Don't schedule over your marriage. If you're not in Grace Marriage, get in Grace Marriage. If your church doesn't have a marriage ministry, hey, be that persistent widow that won't leave them alone until they do. So Dave and Ashley, thank you so much for just how you encourage people in ministry like us, and also how you encourage just literally millions of couples. Thank you for your ministry.
Thank you, Brad and Marilyn and the whole team at Grace Marriage. You guys are changing the world.
You are.
And we're so thankful for you.
Thank you all.
Thanks for being on the podcast. Thank you for joining us on the Grace Marriage Podcast. We really hope you're feeling inspired to take intentional steps to grow in your marriage.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with a friend. Your support helps us spread the message of grace and reach even more couples.
And if you have a moment, please leave us a review. Your feedback means a lot to us and helps others discover the podcast.
To learn more about how you can grow in your marriage, visit us at gracemarriage.com. Keep building stronger, grace-filled marriages.
We'll see you next week on the Grace Marriage Podcast. Until then, keep growing in grace.